Hi, everybody. Welcome to our new Power Bursts. Hello,
Hi,
Vicky.
everyone. Welcome. Hi.
Great to have you all here. So, today we're going to have a little conversation about reframing. We often talk about reframing narratives, but what does that mean? How do we do that? So, yeah, we just want to share some ideas with you about how we might reframe possibly something that's happening now, or we might be able to even reframe something from the past. When we're talking about narratives, we're talking about stories, our stories. Vicky, you've got an example to share with us.
Yeah, so, every teacher experiences a difficult class at one time or another, a class that they don't really feel that they're connecting with, or that, they don't really feel that they're making a difference for the students. And it's a rough exercise to walk into that class every day and to be at your best, because you kind of have this sense that the students don't really want to be there and they're really not ultimately getting a lot out of this class. And we all have that experience. Educators do at one time or another. And I remember having that many years ago when I was teaching a grade 6 French class, and it was intense. And the parents were telling the students that they didn't really have to worry about core French because we live in an English society. And so they really didn't have to try very hard. So, they weren't doing their homework. And I was just so frustrated with this class. And of course, the behavior escalated. And so I think about teachers going through this experience, and it's a huge learning experience, there, no doubt. And so in my mind, I'm imagining the teacher walking into the class and I'm thinking, how can we do it differently? How can we reframe so it isn't the hard class? It isn't the bad kids. And things are going well. And one of the things that we can do is remind ourselves of who we are as educators, what we bring to the class, what we've brought to the class in the past, our resources, our resiliencies, our professionalism. What have we done in the past that was successful? How did we do it? And how can we take those nuggets and bring them into this experience to make it a positive experience? And as soon as we start to think about that, we immediately look upon the class differently. So that is one strategy that really worked for me, and I think works for other teachers as well. The other strategy is, let's stop looking at these kids and saying these are bad kids, right? These are real human beings with all of their wonders and all of their glory and all of the wonderful things that they bring to the world and to this class. And as soon as we can reframe that
Mhm.
and look upon our students differently, we inevitably communicate differently, and they respond to that.
Yeah.
And they will respond differently to us. So that's what I'm thinking about today, Tara.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Yes, children and young people are not defined by those problems that we might experience with them. And, it makes me think, and I think we've spoken about this before, but, when you're having conversations with young people who might want things to be better in the classroom, they want to work on being able to concentrate and get their head down and they want to do well. And, you're kind of like, so what would that look like? Well, there's no point. There's no point because I'm always the one that gets in trouble. It's always me. There's absolutely no point,
Right,
and
right.
and I think that's, they often feel seen as just the problem child, and so when we reframe our narratives, around them, and then they can reframe their narratives about themselves and us too, and we will speak to young people in, we might talk a little bit about what's challenging, but we're kind of much more interested in times when those issues aren't happening. So we've been curious about, well, are there times when things are a little bit better? what's happening in that lesson or what's happening in your interactions with that teacher? What are you noticing? And already you're inviting them to reframe how they view themselves. And from
Exactly.
that, it builds them to be able to kind of believe that they can make the changes.
That's right. That's right. And they almost do them naturally without even thinking about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Tara.
Thank you, Vicky.
And thank you to our listeners.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Take care.